Good evening, and welcome to King Jugg for another edition of our Fisher's Freight Coach's Corner Live with the head coach of the Fisher's Freight, Dixie Wooten, who is with me. I am Andrew Smith, the broadcast voice of the Fisher's Freight and the Indy Fuel. And so, all right, we're good to go here as the Freight, one game to go in the regular season. Sunday, 4 o'clock at the Fishers Event Center. They take on the Orlando Pirates. Winner goes to the postseason. So it goes without saying that in our brief 2-year history as a franchise, this is the biggest game that we have played so far, and really looking forward to Sunday's game. We'll talk with Coach Wooten here for a little bit, and then later on we have a couple of Freight players. Defensive lineman Jaylin Swan and defensive back Jaiden are both here, and we will hear from them later on. So we're going to begin with Coach Wooten. And Coach, we were just talking a moment ago before we turned the mics on just about how you've been building for this, and it's been a couple of weeks because you had a bye week last week and then had a bye week before your last game as well. So you've had a lot of time to prep for this game, kind of knowing the importance of this football game coming up. And so now game week is finally here. How exciting is it to be prepping for such a big game coming up at home on Sunday?
Man, Andrew, first I want to say thanks to Judge, man. This is the King Judge has been perfect, man, doing a show here. Also, the great supporting staff in here, man. The fans, everybody been great, but you know, my supporting staff, I feel like I have the best one in the league again. You know, everybody come together, we support each other, we have fun with one another, and you know, that's why we can show up for game day and work hard for one another. But to your question, man, I feel like we're excited for this. You know, we've been working hard all year for this. You know, now we're playing meaningful football at the end of the season. So the guys are ready. You know, the coaching staff are ready. You know, coaching staff is ready, and the fan base is ready, and everybody's ready. So we're excited.
It's basically playoff game number one. You're going to get that playoff atmosphere, playoff intensity on Sunday. And I know everybody here, we want to see you at the Fishers Event Center because how important is that crowd and that crowd energy for your guys to feed off of while the game's going on? When the toe hits the leather on Sunday afternoon, those guys really feed off the adrenaline that comes from the fans in the stands.
Absolutely. You know, everything that we do is about energy. And, you know, when the guys see the fans in the stands hollering and screaming and there to watch them, those guys will be, you know, just ready to go. You know, energy with football players is nonstop. So, you know, that's a big part of every good atmosphere. You know, if you look at the winning teams, they have a great fan base. And we have one. This game right here, if we have a full house, yeah, our guys going to be ready to play.
And that's the thing, too. This is a second-year team, but how special has it been to see this community embrace the Fishers Freight basically from day one? I remember a year ago going, you know, I've never seen indoor football in person, and I'm about to announce a game. So, and very quickly, I'd say, you know, by the end of the first quarter, I was hooked. And you could tell the crowd, same thing. Our fans were all in from day one, and it's been really fun to watch this build. And, you know, last year had a really good start, really good finish to the season, but we're still kind of building the team throughout the year and missed the postseason by a game or two, and now you're basically hitting the ground running this year, and you've seen how this community has embraced this team.
Andrew, we wouldn't have a team if it wasn't for the community.
Yeah.
You know, the community for Fishers and the surrounding areas, man, you know, they come together and they support us. At the end of the day, you know, ownership had a vision of a football team. They came up with it and they put it in tuition. But at the end of the day, the fans got to buy in, and our fans did. You know, our mayor, you know, our city council. But, you know, overall, you know, we Sean brought it to the table to our front office. Front office bought into it. So here we are, you know, and we're here to stay.
And we talk a lot about how sometimes really it takes 2 or 3 years to build from scratch, because 2 years ago we were sitting here, we knew we had a team, we didn't have any players, we had just hired a coach, and we're starting from scratch, and now we're sitting here talking about essentially playoff games and an opportunity, if you win on Sunday, to play for a championship, and it's really special. But last year we talked during the offseason and the start of this season how last year was almost 2 or 3 seasons in one, because the team made such strides, had a 5-game winning streak at the end of the year, and you could see the pieces coming into place. Felix Harper came in as your quarterback, and remember talking to some of the assistant coaches, we've got our quarterback now. And you brought in other guys during the year like Dominic Roberto and Josiah King at running back, and just continue to add pieces as the year went on. Darius Long came in the middle of the year, and those guys provided the foundation for this year. But how important was last year in providing that foundation for this team to be able to hit the ground running and be a contender from week 1 this season?
It's huge. You know, one reason, Andrew, that we're able to be above the curve of any other second-year team is because, again, our supporting staff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody work together. Everybody know what it's about to be successful. Again, you know, I think my supporting staff is so huge because they have all year to work with the Indy Fuel. Mm-hmm. So when they get to football, they're 100 miles and running. So now, you know, when I talk to Catherine, when I talk to Wendy, when I talk to anybody in our front office, they already know what we need. You know, they helpful. They let me know if I can do it. They let me know if I can't do it. So guess what? Now that help us out big time. So now it makes my job easy just to coach football. You know, so that's what makes it perfect for us. That's why we're above the curve more than every other second-year team.
Well, you made a lot of changes to the staff this year. Just talk about the assistants that you have and how they have helped set the table for the success you've had this year.
Unfortunately, when you build it, man, sometimes you gotta make some decisions in your staff to change some things up. You know, bringing Coach Stout in. You know, he's been a head coach for a long time. You know, he's one of those guys I can depend on. I can let him know what's going on. He can take over. He can do things like that. He can see the things that I can't see. You know, at the end of the day, being a head coach, you never want to be the smartest in the room. Mm-hmm. You want to have everybody around you that understand the game a little more better than you, so they can give you some understanding of it. You know, I have a great O-line coach in Jared. Mm-hmm. I got a great O-line coach in Coach Cook. You know, my staff, one thing about it is I'm allowed to hold them accountable, so my guys can see me hold them accountable, and so everybody fall in line when it comes to, you know, having a great culture.
And that's something I think it's really important is accountability, because in football, you know, in the outdoor game it's 11, in our game it's 8, but you need all 8 pulling the wagon in the same direction on every single play. And so making sure that everybody knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing, making the right reads, making the right throws, running the right routes, and you know, that really comes not really on Saturday nights. And I do see you're always coaching between plays. You're always trying to hold guys accountable and make them better, but it really happens on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning, right? In helping build this team to make sure that when the ball goes in the air on Saturday night or Sunday afternoon this week, that everybody is kind of pulling in the right direction.
Absolutely, Andrew. You know, as a coach, as a head coach, my job is to make every player understand that their position is the most important position on the field. Mm-hmm. You know, my job is to make sure everybody buy into that, and also I have to make sure that, you know, those guys understand that we need to also play together as well. You know, as the coach, you know, I got to be accountable for me before anything. You know, when I'm accountable for me, then I can hold those guys accountable. It can't happen no other way. So, you know, with those guys understanding how hard I am on me, they understand how important their job is to be successful on their part.
We've got Orlando coming in Sunday afternoon, 4 o'clock kickoff, and that's a game that you guys played earlier in the season down in Florida. It was one of the several games you've had this year that have gone down to the last play. And if you've never seen indoor football before, game going down to the last play is going to happen more often than not. And we've had at least, I think, 6 of them this year that have been decided pretty much when the clock hit 0, and that was one of them. They had a player made a great play, making a catch going over the wall as the clock hit 0. It was just a great football game, but at the same time, you've got a little bit of a score to settle with those guys because, yeah, they did get you at their place. Now you've got them at your place, but judging by that first matchup, it looks like two very, very evenly matched teams that have a lot of playmakers on both sides of the ball all over the field.
Yeah, Orlando is a great team. You know, they got a lot of NFL players on their team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have a lot of great guys. They have a lot of great coaches as well. You know, the fun part is we play them in Fishers.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have the most exciting atmosphere in the league. You know, when we have home games, everybody show up, everybody's loud, so that kind of messes up a team. And also, they got to get on a plane, they got to come way to Indiana, and deal with us. So at the end of the day, they got away with 1 point against when we went to their field. But at the end of the day, now they come play us, and it's going to be a different story.
You got a team with a rookie quarterback as well. Paxton De La Rada has had a tremendous year, completing 71% of his passes, and got a couple of good receivers, really good running back, one of the top running backs in the league. What kind of challenge do they provide for your defense because of the amount of weapons that they have on that side of the ball?
They are solid, man. They offensively, they like the top 3 in the league.
Mm-hmm.
You know, their quarterback is playing well. They got great receivers, like you said. And they got a great running back. That's the thing about their offense. Nobody really understands how good their running back is, but I think by far he's the guy that make their offense go. So we got to come out there. We got to show Paxton different looks because again, if he see one look, he gonna be able to pick it apart. So we got to show him different things. We got to attack him a different way, and we got to try to tackle Puka.
And that's you mentioned that. That's not easy to do, but when Paxton goes back to throw, basically you got to make sure you move him off the spot, right? And you've had success. You faced Max Myler twice in Arizona. I think both times you really didn't let him get comfortable. Same thing with Daquan Neal in Quad City. You really did not let him get comfortable in any one of those games. And if you cannot let Paxton get comfortable and be able to maybe force an errant throw or two, that can kind of turn the game in your favor.
Absolutely. That's what it's about. Again, a guy like him, you can't stop him. You can contain him. So we just want to contain him and make sure he don't just go have a great night. We just want to make sure we hit him a little bit, make sure we get in the way a little bit and make him see some different things.
In a game where you've got two great offenses playing each other, does it really come down to, and I know it sounds elementary, but it's something that Jim Leisure used to say at our games last year, it starts with stops, right? It's going to come down to the team that can get that defensive stop in the second half. The team that can get that turnover is going to be the team that wins the game. And the last couple of games, you've had a lot of success, especially in the fourth quarter, getting that stop, getting that turnover when the game's on the line.
And that's what it's about. You got to get stops in this game. And then also special teams.
Oh, yeah.
Special teams is going to be huge. Luckily, I feel like we have the best kicker in the league in Sutherland, so we might get a couple of deuces here and there. But we got to get down and tackle. We got to get down and make sure we block on kickoff return so King have a chance to, run it back. But, we got to make sure that we keep scoring on offense, making sure we taking care of the football and things like that because we know, our defense is going to get them stops that we need.
I think special teams, look back at the last game against Quad City a couple of weeks ago to see the importance between Kellum Sutherland kicking 5 deuces and Josiah King running a kickoff back for a touchdown. And you got a Rouge, your special teams, your kicking game, and then you had a long field goal as well, a 50-plus yard field goal. That's more than 20 points in a game that you won by less than 20 points that came directly from the kicking game.
It's important, man. That's why we practice it every day. Mm-hmm. We meet on special teams every day. We go out there on the field and work it out every day. So we know how important special teams is to victory. And like you said last week, special teams did everything we asked for. That was the greatest game that we played. It was the best game we played all year on special teams. So at the end of the day, we're excited about our special teams. And I feel like Sutherland, in my eyes, he should be special team player of the year. So our special teams is one of the best in the league.
I think one thing, too, that I've always been impressed with, and I love watching football teams that maul people up front. I love watching football teams that run the ball, keep defenses off balance, and they're going to line up and say, we're coming at you, stop us. And that's something that you've hung your hat on from day one here, is that not only are we going to have a good running game, we're going to have a punishing running game. You're averaging, I think, 50 yards more on the ground than any other team in the league. And last year, I believe, set a league record for rushing yards in a season and are on pace to equal or eclipse that this year. It starts with the offensive line. This year it's Navon Donaldson, a guy you plucked from the team. It's now the Orlando Pirates. You've got LaQuinston Sharp on the other end. You've got Cordell Brewster, who's really filled in really well in the middle. And then Jeremiah Rogers coming in as well as your fourth offensive lineman. Describe how those guys set the tone, and especially in the second half, in the fourth quarter. They wear people down to open up running lanes for Felix Harper in the option game, or Josiah and Dominic running the football.
Absolutely, man. It starts with up front. And our big guys, man, they're the best in the business. You know, they come in, they understand what they have to do. They done played a lot of big-time college games. You know, Sharp played at Mississippi State. Donaldson played at the University of Miami. And, you know, Brewster played at the University of Louisiana Lafayette. So those guys understand how to play in a big crowd. They understand when the game gets tough, what it's about. You know, so I lean on those guys more than anything. You know, we love running the football because we get to take the clock up and things like that. But, again, you know, without our big guys, we wouldn't be who we are.
Was that something that when you were building this team really from day one last year, that you were going to build it around, we're going to run the football? And that was really an organizational philosophy, or your offensive philosophy from day one, is to be successful, you got to run the ball and stop the run.
So that's what it's about. When you're building a new team, that's what you want to come in with. You know, you want to build off your running game. You want to build off your toughness. You know, and that's what we're about. You know, at the end of the day, when we start practice tough and we finish practice tough, we want to always have that mindset of coming out, you know, winning a line of scrimmage. So at the end of the day, when you start a new football team, you can be very competitive when you can run the football.
We'll talk to Jaylin Swan on a little bit, but that's the other side of the ball in the trenches. Jaylin, you brought in Trey Smalls this year. Nicholas Lennon has come in and has been really good at that opposite defensive end. Darius Long has been outstanding, and he's been a kick-blocking machine. On the defensive line, again, if you can control the line of scrimmage, that's what we talk about, not letting quarterbacks get comfortable, slowing down the other team's running game. You know, how much does that start with those three guys up front, where it's my three against your three, and if we win that battle, we're going to win the football game?
It's huge. That's why we have those guys here. You know, Swan does a great job on the defensive end. You know, he keep contained. He makes sure quarterbacks can't outrun him. He makes sure running backs can't outrun him. You know, Darius is playing lights out in the middle. You know, he's putting his hands on the center, you know, making sure he control the center. So when you control the center, you know, you can't get to the next level and make your linebacker play pretty good. And then like I say, our D-line is a solid front in our defense. That's why, you know, we have those games where we shut people down to 30 points, 20 points because of those guys when they play well.
Well, there was a point early in the year in May where you were really struggling to stop people. You were giving up 50, 60-plus points a game. You had a bye week. You made a number of changes. And with one exception, you've basically been holding teams in the 30s since then. And that one exception is against what has so far been the top team in the league, and a team that you're hoping to play again here in a couple of weeks. But describe, and I know part of it was personnel. I don't know if you made any scheme changes, but what did you do as far as tinkering with and making some changes on that defensive side of the ball to allow you to have the success that you've had, where you've been consistently holding teams in the 30s and low 40s basically since the middle of May?
You know, at the end of the day, Andrew, I looked at myself in the mirror, and I had to make sure that I was giving my guys the right, you know, understanding of what they're doing and things like that. You know, no matter how good of a coach you are, if you're not getting to your team and letting them understand what they're doing, you know, it comes down to you being the coach. So what I did was I made the scheme more simple, simplified the scheme a little bit. Then I brought in like two pieces in the secondary that understood and played the scheme before. So now, the young guys came in, they played well. The defensive line was able to react a little faster. So that was the big change. At the end of the day, you can't go out there and just change your whole team out.
Right.
But you change that one or two, you tweak the scheme a little bit, and it worked out for us big time.
You made a couple of changes at linebacker. You've had Renaria Dilworth play in the last game, and looks like somebody that can use his speed to blow up plays. And then that lets you move Marcus Gray back to DB, where he's almost just watching him, especially as he was coaching some of the linebackers through, because he's been in that position, almost having another coach on the field with his experience.
Absolutely. Like with Marcus, he was struggling in the season a little bit, but I knew I was never going to cut him. So what I did was I had to sit him down a little bit. And I had to let him know that, hey, you can't play if you're making these type of mistakes, because your mistake will kill us a little more than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So when he learned that, he understood that, and he had the best practice week of his life. We put him back in. We put him in, and he came in against Quad Cities and had a lights-out game.
Yeah, and then you've got a lot of guys in the secondary that are making plays. Jaiden Rowe was hurt a good chunk of the year, and it felt like your defense getting better in part coincided with him coming back into the lineup after missing those games. And then you add him to some of the other pieces that you've added. It just felt like a more complete team.
Absolutely. When you have Jaiden Rowe, man, one thing about him, he's a workaholic. It's not a time go by that he's not thinking or he's not working. So he's going to always make everybody better around him. One thing he brings to the table, that he can play every position.
Mm-hmm.
So if we struggle in a position, I can put him there and he's going to make it better. And that's the thing about that. So when now he's back in his position, now we have him doing some different things this
Mm-hmm.
week. But he understands it. He understands how important he is. And when he's playing well, we play well.
Well, the thing, too, I think, and it could play into your favor here, but you have played the most difficult schedule in the league. You've played Green Bay, who's the top team in the league, 3 times. Your one cross-conference opponent is the Arizona Rattlers, who are one of the top coaches in the league and one of the top quarterbacks in the league. You had to play them twice, beat them twice, but the fact that you're very battle-tested, where you've played, obviously the Eastern Conference is very deep and very good, to the point where last year's team that went to the conference championship game and ended up falling in it in a close game, they're in 6th place right now. I think it just shows you how deep the East is, that you're facing good teams night in and night out. But yeah, how proud of you are the fact that you've put yourself into a position to play for a playoff spot, playing what is essentially the toughest schedule in the IFL.
At the end of the day, that's what football is about. To me, bring the best. We'll play the best. Whoever on the schedule, we play them. We let some games slip away, but at the end of the day, I think it made us better for this moment right here. Now we walk in, we battle tested, we understand that we can play with anybody. So all we got to do is play our game. Don't make mistakes on the field. Don't turn the ball over. We have a great chance of winning. And
that could play into your favor a little bit, because one of the reasons why you're in this position where you control your own destiny is that strength of schedule, because head-to-head's the first tiebreaker. The teams that you could catch, Tulsa, you split with. Orlando, if you beat them on Sunday, you'll have split with them and have the same record. Second tiebreaker is strength of schedule, and you win that. So you're putting yourself in a position where, because of that, you control your own destiny. And so you've taken care of business. Now it's one more opportunity to take care of business on Sunday afternoon.
That's what it's about, Andrew. We look forward to this moment, about getting into the playoffs. Now we have a chance to do that. So, I preach to the guys every day, hey, these opportunities don't come often. So you got to take advantage of it. So these guys been flying around. These guys been pay attention to in the meetings. The questions that they're asking is amazing. So these guys understand how important it is to come out and play fast and physical for 4 quarters on Sunday.
One thing I've noticed, these guys are always focused, but they're always having a lot of fun as well. But do you notice just a little bit more ratcheted up this week, knowing the importance of Sunday's game?
Oh, absolutely. Like it's to a point now when if we make a mistake, instead of me saying something, it's players saying something now. So they know how important it is to make sure that they fix it, because they the ones that's playing. you know, when they're on the field and they feel something, the energy is not up, they got to change that out. So, you know, with the guys understanding that, the importance to this game is everything.
Well, as we get ready to wrap up and bring our players in, just what's one last thing you want to say to these great fans that you have here at King Jugg, and also those that are going to be watching and listening to our broadcast and in our podcast here later on?
Man, Sunday's going to be fun. You know, when you have an opportunity to come to a playoff game, it's unreal. You know, everybody's going to be louder. Everybody's going to be more excited. The DJ is going to be playing a little louder. The guys going to be running around a little just crazy, man, and having a good time. So if you have nothing to do at 4 o'clock Sunday, I come to the game because you're going to see a great game. I promise you that.
Well, you can get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com for Sunday's game, 4 o'clock. The Freight taking on the Orlando Pirates with a playoff spot in the balance. The winner goes to the postseason. So we're looking forward to that. Those here at King Jugg, hang around. We have some tickets to give away a little bit later on for Sunday's game. So if you are here, you will have an opportunity to win tickets for Sunday afternoon's regular season finale. So, Coach Wooten, thank you so much for joining us, and we will look forward to Sunday's game.
Appreciate it, Andrew.
That's head coach Dixie Wooten of the Fishers Freight. All right, we're going to bring in Jaylin, Swan, and Jaiden Rowe, Fishers Freight players. We'll let you know as well before then on Sunday afternoon. Come early. We will be doing a backpack drive. Bring some school supplies. It begins at 2:30 at the Fishers Event Center as part of our pregame festivities. Bring in some school supplies, and we will end up compiling those and making sure they get to kids throughout central Indiana. So thank you, and we'll see you on Sunday. And now we'll bring in our players. Jaiden Rowe is here in the middle, and then Jaylin Swan is to my left as well. And so you guys are both guys that have been here basically from day one. And we'll start with you, Jaiden. Just how exciting is it to have an opportunity to play for a postseason berth on your home field, essentially kind of the first round of the playoffs coming a week early?
Check. Yep. All right, ready to go. So, it means everything. I mean, we wouldn't want to be in any other position. We kind of spoke it into existence. I mean, we had a rough go around the middle of the season, a losing streak, but we kind of knew the cards would fall this way, and we've been preparing and getting better every week, and we've slowly but surely built that culture, you know what I mean, to where, like Coach said, we are checking each other, we are holding each other accountable, and it's fun. I mean, you wouldn't want it any other way as a football player, right, for it to come down to the last game and your destiny's in your own hands, you know what I mean? So definitely wouldn't want it any other way. So,
yeah, we'll ask Jaylin the same question. Just how exciting is this for you? And you mentioned that your destiny's in your own hands on your home turf. That's got to be really exciting and a lot of fun on Sunday.
Yeah, it definitely is. Some of us were talking at practice the other day, and we're like, man, like, this is crazy. Like, some of us never been in the playoffs before. So having the opportunity to play in the playoffs is, like, amazing. But to have a home advantage to get into the playoffs is, like, unreal to think about. Like, we had the opportunity to really take the energy from the before kickoff, from walking into the door. You know, like, this team, they're coming in, but they're not at home. They're not comfortable. They're not going to sleep where they're comfortable sleeping. You know, we're going to be comfortably rested. We're going to be well prepared. You know what I'm saying? So a game like this is something you just dream about. Yeah.
And I know you've been around the league a little bit. Is it have a case where the veteran players like you kind of help some of the younger guys just get used to, hey, this is what playoff football is like, because you're going to experience it on Sunday?
Absolutely. Like, we just have to keep everybody level-headed, and just like Jaiden said and like Coach said, keep the energy going. You know, like, anytime somebody seems like they're down or they're nervous, pick them up. Let's go. Push each other. No matter if it's a special teams rep a team rep, or just stretching. We got to do everything at the highest level possible.
You've been here from day one and essentially helped build this team from scratch. Both of you have. And what was it about Dixie's vision that brought you here to Fishers and made you want to come and be part of this expansion team and be part of the foundation for what I think is something really special that's building here?
Man, it's just his coaching style, you know, like he's never going to let us be complacent at all. Like he's going to push us every time, and he's going to coach us to the best of his ability and even past that. Like if we don't understand anything, we ask questions, he's going to break it down. He's going to say it one way, and if you still don't understand it, he's going to break it down even more because he wants us to understand, because he wants us to be the best on the field possible, you know. No matter if it's me at DN being a veteran, no matter if it's Roll in the backfield being a second-year player, or if we got a rookie corner. He's going to find a way to coach us at each way. He's going to come down to our level to coach us and push us to keep going forward every week.
Jaiden, just what has this been like for you, seeing this build from day one as a rookie through nice start and then some of the struggles you guys had in the middle of last season, and then the end of last season building into this year, and just kind of watching this build and being a part of this building for 2 years?
I think a big part of it is how supportive Fishers has been through our ups, our downs, our losses. You know what I mean? And I think that gives us players courage to keep going and to figure it out. You know what I mean? Last year there was a point where we could have folded as a team and the culture could have been what it was, but your guys' faith and love has kind of held us down, you know what I mean? And it's made that build that much easier. And same thing with this year. We lost for about a month straight. We didn't look down. We didn't check out, none of that, partly because of the fans and their energy, you know what I mean? So between that and having a coach with a winning record like Coach Dixie, I mean, you have no choice but to find what success is, you know what I mean, and to take your destiny into your own hands as opposed to packing it in, you know what I mean? So, I mean, it's been beautiful to watch, and I'm definitely blessed and grateful to be a part of it. So,
how much did that 5-game winning streak at the end of last year help set the tone for this season?
I think that was the skeleton for this season. You know what I mean? That was the foundation. We figured out, like, all right, what's the process like? What does it take? What do we got to do? And the newer guys that we've received, we've kind of put that and built that into them as well, and we've got it rolling. Sure, we've had our bumps, but we're ready to go. We're excited. Like, I'm getting excited sitting here just thinking about it, you know what I mean? So,
Well, I asked Jaylin, kind of looking back to last year and setting the foundation for this season, your last game against Iowa, I'm not sure I've seen a defensive lineman have as impactful of a game as you did. 3 sacks. I'm not sure how many tackles for loss because I lost count. Yeah. But you were basically in the backfield all night. And, again, ended up, I think, because of that game, but also capping off what you had done throughout the year, ended up being a first-team All-IFL player. And just describe that game, but how last season really helped set the table for this year.
Yeah, so basically that game was just like pretty much like Jaiden said, like the foundation. Like we walked into that game like loose, not caring. You know, we just wanted to play and we wanted to win. We didn't care what the record was at the end of the day. We didn't care who we were facing. We knew that going into this game, the last home game of the year, we were going to play lights out everywhere. You know what I'm saying? We wanted to win that game, and that's going basically back into this year right now, this moment. Like, nobody wants to go home. Like, and that's what we showed last year, and that's what we're showing this year. Like, we want to play. We want to keep playing. We want to go everywhere. We want to do everything we can possibly do to keep winning.
And now you've got an opportunity, the last home game of the year. You've got something to play for now.
Yeah.
And you know, does that show how far you've come really in this 12 months since the end of last season?
Yeah, it definitely showed how far we've come. I mean, because last year we were a brand new team and we were going through growing pains trying to figure it out, trying to get guys to build chemistry, trying to find ways to find chemistry. Shout out to Jaiden making chemistry work for us last year. And now this year we kind of just kept that same recipe and kept going and pushing the limit every week to build more chemistry together, find different ways to hang out and like not be like some teams where they're like cliques, but have it where we're all together. You know what I'm saying? Where you might have people who are close, but at the end of the day, like the D-line, the O-line are friends, but we hold each other accountable. The DBs, the receivers hold each other accountable, but we're still clicking on all cylinders, able to keep going, which leads us to now where it's like Coach said, we're able to communicate with each other, we're able to hold each other accountable, and we're able to push that limit up to the sky.
I'll ask Jaiden, you came in as a rookie last year playing the outdoor game. What was the adjustment like coming to indoor football where things happen a lot faster, you're on the smaller field, and how quickly did you take to that because you were an impact player basically from the first game?
So it was an interesting start. I mean, it's like speaking a different language, you know what I mean? You can't assume that indoor football is going to be like outdoor football because it's not, you know what I mean? So I think just that was the hardest part as a rookie was like getting that out of my head. Like, no, this is a completely different game. It's a completely different approach, and just learning how to be a pro from the onset. Like Coach Dixie, he showed me what to do, showed me how to watch film, how to study. I put in the extra work after practice. So I think just compounding those little things, you know what I mean, it helps the transition a little bit to be a little bit more seamless, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, 3 years at Long Island University and a couple times all-conference player as well. Just how did that experience prepare you for your pro career?
I think it's just it's building that. It built that confidence. You know what I mean? I kind of been around the block as far as the football thing goes, and working the ladder, being the player on the bench, being the guy that's the first guy to go out, being the starter, being the star. You know what I mean? Just having all those tools in my tool belt. You know what I mean? To come in and be confident and not overthink when you're playing. You know what I mean? I think that's a big thing for football players is playing the game. And if you're thinking, you're slower. You're reacting slower. You know what I mean? So you want to be out there playing as fast as possible, being free. We've done this our whole lives, so I think it's just bringing that confidence to the table.
Well, what was it like for you coming from California, basically moving all the way across the country to play your college football in New York, and just culturally and everything else, moving to really a completely new place, and then coming here to the Midwest to play your pro career?
Well, you know, I'm not averse to a little culture shock. You know what I mean? I think it's good for you. It's like taking an ice bath. You know what I mean? It's good for you. It's good for your health. You got to embrace being uncomfortable. And I figured out how to kind of blend in to mingle with people and be a chameleon in that aspect. You know what I mean? And just kind of take the cards that you've been dealt and play them. And, I mean, everybody's been real welcoming here. Everybody's super nice, wonderful, beautiful people here. So it was definitely a little bit more of a seamless transition coming here compared to New York. So
seems like you've really embraced being a part of this community from day one.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, and Jaylin, ask you come from St. Louis and then played at Illinois College. As the former broadcaster for Franklin College football, I am always partial to the D3 guys, but describe how that experience at Illinois College helped prepare you for your pro career.
Yeah, it definitely gave me a mindset and a shift of a mindset. And it's nothing to knock D3 football, but when you're going against guys who they just want to play football and they're sitting there and they're like, yeah, man, like I'm more worried about becoming an accountant. I'm more like for my school, it was people who were more worried about becoming farmers, accountants, and things like that they didn't really care about winning conference or making it to the D3 playoffs. So for me, it was like, I know what I want to do with my dream of playing football. So I had to lock in extra harder by watching film, playing harder. You know, it didn't matter who was in front of me. I had to work my best to beat them. So I had to become a leader in the mindset of telling people, like, don't be out here just to wear a jersey. You know what I'm saying? We got to be out here to play because we love this game, but we got to play because we want to win. You know what I'm saying? And that mindset there helped me to get to this level because for me, like I said, it was just always pushing to the limit. Like, yeah, I came from a D3 school, so I feel personally I have to work harder because I'm going to get somebody who we watched on Saturdays. You know, so now I'm like, in my mind, I got to work harder. So when somebody sees me working harder, they're going to be like, oh, Swan's working hard. He's good. He's cool. He's doing his job. But little do they know I'm working harder because I got a chip on my shoulder. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's working hard, but we all have our reasons for working hard. But that's where that leadership comes in, is because just because you're working hard, I'm going to compete with you. But I don't know your reasoning behind it. But if you're holding me accountable for working hard, then I'm going to hold you accountable every time.
Well, something, too, we talk a lot about how good the offensive line is. How much does going against Donaldson and Sharp every day on the end, how much does that make you guys better as a D-line?
It makes us completely better. Honestly, there's no O-line that I can actually think about who can be top tier as them. Like, those guys came from powerhouse schools, SEC, ACC schools, and they show it every day at practice. They show it every day in the game. So the things that you see us working in games to put pressure on the quarterback to stop the run game, honestly, for the D-line, that's coming from the O-line guys. Like, they're giving us a good look at practice. They're giving us tips at practice. You know what I'm saying? Coach Cook's giving us tips. Coach Cook is coaching us. Coach JT is doing the same thing. So it's that whole front six, and even the backups. Like, we're all together working hard every day. Sharp, Donaldson, Brewster, like, they're giving us the best look possible. We're giving them the best look possible so that on Saturdays we can dominate.
What's been your favorite thing about being in Fishers with the Freight so far?
Oh, my gosh. Honestly, it's the fans, man. Like, fans are cool, but the fans here in Fishers, oh, my gosh. Like, they come to the games. They are electric. They're loud. Outside of the games, they're so supportive, so loving. You know, like, I feel like here, like, every one of us has a different story about something that a fan has done for us, told us, or that we've seen in the crowd. Like, what was it? The last home game we seen guys with the Fishers with no shirts on. Like, I've never seen that before. So I'm like, they're locked in. Like, so I gotta lock in too. Like, they're down for it. They're coming to every single game. So it's really just the support, the belief, and the faithfulness that the fans have in us, and the loyalty that they have that pushes me, and I know pushes the other guys to just work harder, stay loyal, stay faithful, and keep believing that every week we're gonna go 1-0.
Well, I asked Jaiden the same thing. You know, what's been your favorite thing about being a part of the Freight for the 2 years you've been here?
It's kind of cliche, but to kind of expand on what Swan said, it has to be the fans. You know what I mean? There's a culture and there's a love for sports here, especially in this small, young, growing community that's just, it's unmatched. Like, I played in California, you know what I mean, where the sports culture is super competitive, the fans are diehard, but it's nothing like the fans here, you know what I mean? It's a little bit more personal. It hits a little bit more close to home as far as how much pride you guys take in your sport. So it's a blessing to see and watch the community grow. I mean, even since we've been here the last 2 years, to see how much is being built, how much is being put into the community and how tight-knit it is, it's awesome to see.
Well, let's talk about the way that you guys complement each other. That when Jaylin and the D-line can get to the quarterback, when they can force a guy off his spot, how much does that make your job easier? Because it can force an errant throw and kind of let you jump on a pass or blow up a play.
So that kind of hits home for me because my D-line, like, those are my guys. Like, it's kind of crazy to think, but, like, you would think I would hang out with the DBs a lot and spend most of my time with them. I don't. I hang out with my D-line guys. They take care of me. We look after each other. So when they eat, I eat, you know what I'm saying, and vice versa. So we've definitely built that nucleus, so to speak, of the defense, and it's a blessing to have, you know. So
it's good. Football's the ultimate team game. Everybody does their job, and good things happen, right?
100%.
And so as we wrap up here, what are you looking forward to most on Sunday as you wrap up the regular season and prepare to give yourself at least one more game and hopefully 3 more games beyond that?
So we're looking, I mean, the motto right now is just to take it one play at a time, be as present as you possibly can, you know what I mean, and win one snap at a time and go 1-0 every play. That's the motto for us right now. And I think just for me personally, I haven't played in a playoff game in a long time, you know what I mean? And this is what you live for. This is what you lace the cleats up for. You play football for, is these high-stakes moments, you know what I mean? So I'm getting fired up talking about it right now, you know what I mean? If we could play tomorrow, I'd want to, but, I mean, you wouldn't want it any other way. Let's do it.
And, Jaylin, what are you looking forward to most on Sunday as you wrap up the regular season?
I'm looking for everything. Like, this week, this practice week, just the mindset of watching film and prepping and knowing like it's time, you know, like, and also like for the community too, like the way that the team, the organization, the fans, and everything showed out last year. Like it's only right for us to have this opportunity right here, and everybody's coming out to the fans coming out to have fun and have a good time, but the players are ready to have fun, you know, looking to have fun, looking to compete, looking to just play football, and, you know, seeing Sunday and looking up at that scoreboard and saying, man, like, we did it. It's time to keep going now. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep going.
And that's the thing. It's get in and then keep going, because last year the champion was the 4th seed in the Western Conference.
Yes, sir.
And so you get in, you put yourself in a position to play for a championship, and how special is that you've got that opportunity, take care of business on Sunday, and then you're one of 8 teams with a chance to play for a title.
Yeah, I mean, it's very special, man. I can't even tell you like in words right now. Like just thinking about it gets me excited, because like the opportunity to raise a trophy up, like Coach showed the system at the beginning of the season, like you get to raise a trophy up, and then you get to go back home to your family, and everybody gonna talk to you and be like, "Hey, man, congratulations! Like that was cool." Or we could look on the backside and say, "We go home now," and everybody gonna be like, "Oh, what happened? Oh, the season's still going on." Like nobody wants to talk about the season still going on. Like we want to be in a position right now where we are, where we can say, "We played, we got in, we played, we kept winning, and we got that ring." You know what I'm saying? That's where we are right now. We want to keep going. We want to keep winning. 1-0 every week.
Jaylin, Swan, Jaiden Rowe, thank you so much for joining us on this live edition of Fisher's Freight Coaches Corner. Sunday afternoon, 4 o'clock at the Fisher's Event Center. The Freight taking on Orlando. Playoff spot hanging in the balance, and these guys are going to be doing everything they can to make sure that the Freight are victorious and taking that last playoff spot and getting into the postseason and leading the Freight into and through the Indoor Football League playoffs. Want to thank Jaylin and Jaiden for joining us, as well as Coach Dixie Wooten. If you're here at King Jugg, hang tight, because we will have some tickets to give away. And also, if you're coming to the game on Sunday, come early, bring some school supplies for our backpack drive as well. That begins at 2:30. The kickoff is at 4. We cannot wait to see you there on Sunday. Thanks for joining us. And again, if you're here at King Jugg, we'll turn it back over to Coach Dixie Wooten, and we will give some tickets away.